I have some boards left over from my previous scrap table and now I'll have a second try. The previous table I made had huge gaps like this. This time I'll try to lessen the gaps with straightening the edges with my circular saw and a self-made jig. First I'll straighten all the boards and then figure out what's the next step. Now that I have all the boards straight on one side, I'll drive a few nails here so that it will stop the board in the correct location every time, or not correct, the same. So like this, I will drive nails here so that it sticks out like this. I'll put some nails here and there, and it should be fairly straight. It won't be perfect, but I think it will work for me. It's not perfect, but this is 0.5 millimeter over 8, and the other end is 1/4 millimeter under, I would say, and in the middle it's even. So bit over 0.5 mil of error. I can live with it. These are the boards. Now just repeat it for these and let's get back to it. After cutting them all to roughly 8 centimeters, the joints are decent. I'll start to glue them, since I don't have long clamps, only normal short ones and only a few of those. I made some sort of platform where I can use car fasteners, I don't know what they're called, and I'll use some ordinary wood glue and glue them up and then fasten them and see how it goes. Now let's leave it for dry and see what happens. Now that it's somewhat dry, I'll plane the most of the unevenness with a hand planer or electric planer. And then repeat that for all of the 4 boards. This is how they look like after planing. It's quite decent. I made some sort of jig in the middle, that is the sides of the middle part I want to leave empty. And then I clamped these and measured that this is roughly a right shape. Now I'll draw a line here and try to cut it, but let's see how it goes. I don't have enough space to make guide, so I'll be freehanding with the circular saw. Now that all the edges are done, I'll finish the hand cutting part. I'll sand the rest down, and it looks like my glue up was bad. I used too little glue, might have been obvious for someone, but not for me. There's way too little glue here. It just breaks. But too late to do anything about it. I'll just add joists underneath the table and hope it lasts. I didn't expect my cuts to be so bad, but they are horrible. I will have to think of something. An hour later, I have one joint fairly decent, so I'll put this into glue up and then start working on the next one. I have no idea if this will do anything, but I'll try. Okay, I hope it will glue better this time, but I'm not too hopeful. I have 2 of the 4 joints made. Next I'll have to redraw these 2. I'll also draw the other one and then cut them. After quite some time, I'm ready to glue. Okay, let's hope it's good enough. While my glue dries, I'm making the middle section, and so next step is cutting these into same size like I did with the other boards, and then thinning it a bit, and then making the glue up. I'll come back once I have this board glued. Now that I have the joints glued up and the glue is dried, I'll take it out of the clamps and start the never-ending sanding. This is how it looks like after sanding. I have some knots and other mistakes in this board. For example, this. And this. But after sanding, the board looks fine. I will still need to wait for the inner part to dry. Then I'll cut it into size and figure out how I'm going to fasten it. Next I'll try to roughly flatten this board with electric planer. And then next is sanding. I'm going to add some support beams here and here on the underside, and I'll clean them up since my wood is terrible. I'll just trim it with the electric planer so it becomes a bit cleaner. Okay, with this I get fairly decent lumber, at least it's not dirty, and same for the rest 8 of them, and then I'll chop them up and make the joists. Now that the 4 are done, I'll glue them up. And then repeat for everything else. Now I have all the lower joists. Next I'll try to make a lip on my inset where the board will sit. It'll get a lip like this. There's a bit of mistakes, can't help it. And now repeat that for all the sides. Now that I have the inlay set, I'll cut the board up to size. And the width is quite good. I have some room to sand. And next I will do an inlay or chamfer here to match this. Now routing the middle section. I'll drill some holes. Now that I have the hole locations, I'll transfer the holes to the top. And same for the other side. And then I'll add a bit of glue and then screw them up. I'll only do this for the long sides since my glue up is horrible and it's a bit flexible, so this will add some rigidity to the top. Next step is to make the panel fit. The width is fine, but the corners need to be matched, so I will manually sand this to match this on each of the corners. This is how it looks like now. I have quite a lot of sanding to do and then finish it with a lacquer. After a brain-numbing amount of sanding, next is the coat and then is the assembly. Then I have to paint the rest. I prefer this color, but this is what it seems to be looking after the coat. It's furniture finishing, some sort of, but that's what I got for cheap, so we'll go with that. I would have preferred if it stayed wider, but it is what it is. Next I'll finish this one and then put it together. For the assembly I dropped the TV in, added blocks in the corners and one in the middle. Being the retard I am, I forgot to leave this long enough to match here. So now I will have to add extra pieces of wood to bind these somehow. It's so annoying. And then the same for the other side. Because of my incompetence in planning and using existing scrap feet, I had to cut the supporting beams on all four corners, and I had to cut the external core and the internal axle of this mechanism. And I have to add spacers here because the TP protrudes and there's no space here for it to protrude. So I'll drill holes. I add it like this and then add this here. Then this goes here and the table goes there, and then I screw it in like this. Now I'll have to do it for the rest of them. Now all the fasteners are in, just to screw them in. And that's done. It should be able to take the flipping, and I hope it doesn't break. But I don't have the strength. I will have to wait until I have some visitor to help me turn it.